Hi Surfskate land, as promised a little video on the board, the idea behind the design and what I was trying to do. If anybody's interested, probably not, but I'll do the video anyway. But also an origin story behind why I did this. I was very lucky to be brought up in an area with brilliant surf, you know, barreling, hucking, steep, brilliant waves, and I'll put a shot of me surfing up now. I was very blessed, even though the waves were a bit like surfing on coffee because it was cold and dark. The waves were great, but for reasons that I won't go into now, I ended up having to move to West Sussex, to near Brighton, where the surf is normally windy, crap, slushy, rubbish, and as you might expect, I got into a bit of a funk. But there's a legendary surfboard maker, a guy who sadly passed now, CJ, Chris Jones, who said, well, you need a planing hole like a Mini Simmons. And I was a little bit, you know, I had a guy who made boards for me, an amazing board maker. And I just like, nah, I just, you know, I believe in the boards I've got. So he made me this planing hull, and the basic idea behind it is most board decks, hulls are convex. And the idea is that you can lean between the rails. He made me one with a concave hull. And it was bizarre because it kind of lifted up and glided, you know, it felt like a pelican gliding. But you couldn't turn off the back, you had to turn off the rails. What that meant is you had a really fast, long, sweeping, carving turns that you didn't lose any speed. And I learned to fall in love with the board and then fall in love with the area, and you have to recalibrate what you think's possible and learn to love, learn to blossom where you're planted, kind of. So with the Surfskate, I got into surf skating when I moved up into this area. Just to fill the time when it's really, really windy or you couldn't really surf. And the problem I had with most surf skateboards, like I love what Yao does. I love their trucks. I love everything about what they do, but I'm not a big fan of most surf skate decks. And I get the idea of trying to make them look like surfboards with little narrow swallow tails. And if it makes you feel like you're surfing and gets you out there, then have at it. I'm not knocking it. For me, it's not functional. You know, I like foot placement if I want to do burts, I want to get my foot over the side or grabs or whatever it is. But I wanted to create something that felt like that planing hull, because I see a lot of people surf skating and they're not going to bowls, they're not going to parks, they're in parking lots or roads and they're doing the, you know, pumping along and trying to get speed and stuff. And I thought, well, what if I came up with a board that was like the planing hull, but for a surf skate? So what I came up with this, and it took 18 months. We had, crikey, loads of them. We had this one, and I don't know if you remember the original one that I pressed properly that was big, the one that I painted a fish on with the weird concaves, and it was a great learning curve. There was a lot about this board that I really liked, but it was still trying to do what a skateboard does, but on surf skate trucks. So I've called this deck, I've called it Koan, because I don't know whether you know a Koan's a thing in Buddhism that's a paradox of a story, and it's a very paradoxical board. So it's completely flat. You've got no kicker at all. But what I've done, it's 35 inches long, 10 inches at the widest point, it goes down to 9, back to 9.5. The reason why I've gone for 9.5 is, again, you've got a lot of area to put your foot on. But the reason why I've got no kicker on it is I've got a very, very deep double concave going all the way through it. I don't know whether you can see that in the video, but it's a half-inch concave at the deepest point. And that then allows me to have a 7-degree angle front and back, which gives you like a pressure pad, like on a surfboard, if you imagine, to get traction. So what you can do on that rocker is you can rock it backwards and forwards. I've got a 26.5 inch axle to axle length with about 20 mil adjustment. I like to have the trucks as far out to the edges of the board as possible. The reason for that is I like that long wheelbase for this design of board. There's another design of board I'll touch on very, very quickly. But it's great because you have to use the rails. You're moving your foot, what you're sliding it about, it's really fast and really, really flowy, and just feels really, really different. So if you are in parking lots or doing roads and you want to do these big long archy turns, it's lovely. You've got a real floaty, glidey feeling. It's quite a lovely thing. So that's the shape of the board. I have come up with my own wheels as well, because the board is made out of bamboo. It has got a FC sustainably sourced middle part to it. It's a 7 laminate, but I just wanted a bit of extra flex because bamboo is actually oddly stiff. But it's completely recyclable, completely eco. And I've done the same with the wheels. So they're 6651 88, but the rebound's more like 85, but then this is 70+% recycled polyurethane. So the wheels are eco as well, as about as eco as you can get. The other board I'm developing is this one. I haven't got a name for it yet. Might just call it Flowstate. Adjustable wheelbase again, but a lot more shreddable, a lot more bowly. The ones that you see me doing the laybacks and Burt slides on, if you have seen any of that, is with that board. The one in the video of testing was this one, but it's just a really interesting board. It just feels so lovely to ride that if you're going out and you just want to buzz around on a hot day and just do big, fast arcing turns, it's nice. And the thing I love about it, it feels so different to any other board. The problem is when I had the Yao and the Carvers and stuff, they kind of felt the same, except for the trucks that made it different. And one of the lovely things about having a quiver of surfboards is they feel so different. Luke made me a planing hole with a pintail. That thing's amazing, an absolutely amazing bit of the surf's crap. It still doesn't do what the original planing hull did. And I'll show you the board that inspired the other one, what Luke made. I called it the shovel. Maybe I'll call that the shovel. But yeah, look, that's the design behind the boards. Each board's going to be completely independent in their design and artwork. If you can see in the videos of the designs, each one's going to be different. I will be selling them because, you know, you got to, haven't you, really? Everyone would be completely individual. No two boards would be the same. Logos would be the same. I've put a little bit of a clip onto how to get these logos on. I do it with a thing called Mod Podge. Very labour intensive. Same as the logos and the pictures, all done by hand in a very craft sort of way. There's nothing screen printed. So it's all made. The boards were hand pressed with bottle jacks. But now I've got good friends of mine in Thailand that are making the other board, and they're going to make up some of these for me, but it's never going to be a big thing. I dig the name Flowstate because Surfskate does annoy me a little bit because it's not surfing, but it's because I come from a surf background. I love it. I love what it does, but getting outdoors and having a flow around the area is brilliant. But yeah, sorry for waffling, but that's the idea behind the board. So it's a big old boy, 35 inches long, double concave, completely flat, with 2 7-degree kicker pads in it, and long, wide and fast. Hope you like the designs. Give me some feedback. Tell me what you think. Help a guy out.